don't get comfortable where you are, because you can get comfortable where you are. You know how capitalism works. Capitalism works in a very different way. Choose the best amongst the best. And in life, you choose to believe what you want to believe. You don't believe anything that you are forced to. People always believe what they choose to believe. What is the biggest problem that is facing the African youth? Is it unemployment, or is it lacking the right people to do employment? For example, you want to set up a big farm. We have 4 factors of production. First, we have labor. Second, we have capital. Third, we have land. And fourth, we have entrepreneurship. Yes, so you want to set up your farm so that you can be able to reap big out of it. We have said one factor of production is labor. Where will you be able to hire the right people so as they can be able to make you achieve your goal in the long run? If you're doing poultry farming, you need to hire the right people, the staff, can I say the team, so as they can be able to make you achieve your ultimate goal. So guys, before we continue with the video, make sure you give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and you can share it to your audience so that you can be able to get some knowledge and tips out of this video. Like the video so that it can also be pushed to a huger audience, and it can also help my channel to grow. Thank you. Let's go on with the video. As you can see, on our farm, we are progressing on well. In my previous video, I was doing the debunking of this chicken, and you can see to some of this chicken, they are properly debunked. As you can see them, so that we can be able to prevent cannibalism on this poultry farm. Okay? So, why am I saying this? For you to be able to become profitable, you really need a lot of things that you have to take into consideration before you start becoming profitable. Okay? Because in the factors of production, as I have said, you need labor. That is the team that can enable you to become profitable in the poultry industry. They can be able to follow the right policies that you have kept on your farm, and they can do everything without much supervision. Why am I saying this? The biggest problem in Africa is not unemployment, is having the right people to do the work for you. You can offer the job to so many people, but you finding a right person for you to do the job for you is what is a very tedious process. You finding the best team that can enable you to run your poultry farm to sustainability and profitability. The main aim of this YouTube channel is to be able to teach you farmers so that you can be able to learn the right ways of how you can be able to do proper, profitable and sustainable poultry farming. How can you become top 1% of 1% of poultry farmers around the world? They don't always supervise their work on the poultry farm. So you have to make sure that you put up processes on your poultry farm so that all those things can run properly, so that you can be able to get a profit out of this venture. And the most important thing comes down to the team or the staff of the people that are running your poultry farm. Those are the most critical part in a poultry industry. Because if you have a dedicated team that can enable you to run a successful poultry farm, then you can be able to make a lot of money out of that venture. How am I coming about with this? For you to become successful in a poultry farming, you need a dedicated team. That is the most important thing. Yes, factors of production, you can have a big land, very big land. You can set up a very big poultry house as the capital. You can buy big machinery so that they can be able maybe to crush the feeds and do everything and incubate the eggs. That is on the capital. Then you can have the entrepreneurship in you, which encompasses all those 3 factors of production. You, the entrepreneur himself, so that you can be able to produce the best breed of chicken, if you're producing the best breed of chicken, or the best quality of broiler chicken, or the best eggs on the market. For you to become sustainable and profitable, you need a dedicated team. Because if you don't have a dedicated team, one, if they lack discipline, meaning they won't be able to observe biosecurity measures on a poultry farm. If you have such members on your poultry farm, they are not able to observe biosecurity measures on your poultry farm. This will lead you to incurring a lot of losses due to diseases that can attack your poultry farm. That is one thing, lack of discipline. And when you incur such, like you have incurred costs of purchasing of the antibiotics to treat your chicken, or also you can incur debts whereby if the person is not keen enough, he can just not be keen with the biosecurity measures, and that can lead to diseases which can lead to mortalities on your poultry farm. And that is what we want to avoid. The second thing is, if you don't have a dedicated team, these people can have these very crafty ways whereby you can find out that they can come onto your poultry farm and they can steal from you. That is another way of how you can lose in a poultry farm. Because I realized that the most important factor of the factors of production, the most important one is known as the labor. The labor is the most important, because you can invest a lot of money, you can have a lot of money in the capital, you can do everything, proper infrastructure, everything. But if you don't have a dedicated team, these people can mess you big time. Because you can be raising the chicken, but these guys, you can find out that one of them can become a thief. Others, they are very careless. If they are careless, they're not doing the right things. Instead, like for example, if you have to feed the chicken around 9 a.m. in the morning, you end up finding out even 11. Maybe you are coming from another place onto your poultry farm. Then you're finding out that the guy has not fed the chicken. And if you don't do that earlier on, you'll find out that the chicken will start to eat that on the floor. And if that happens, that will lead to diseases on your poultry farm. You see? And also, if that guy does that, that can also lead to whereby you find out that the chicken are not laying on time, if your chicken are the ones that are laying. Because the best time that the chicken usually lay, they usually lay between around 8 to around 12 midday. That is whereby you can get around 70% of the eggs. Then from there, you get around 30% from around 1 up to 4 p.m. during the day. Okay? So if you really want to be able to make a profit out of this venture, make sure you choose a dedicated team. If you're able to come up with a dedicated team, because why am I saying this? I'm saying this for the factors of expansion. Because you don't just think where you are. Don't get comfortable where you are. Because you can get comfortable where you are. You know how capitalism works. Capitalism works in a very different way, because every day everybody is competing against each other. If you just be comfortable where you are, thinking that you are the best at that time, and someone else comes up that is more brighter than you. And remember, in this world, if you just have like 1% to the top 1% people with the high IQ, if a person gets a person like that and they can be able to enable them think outside the box, they can crush you like nothing else. Because like for us humans, we only have a 2% difference with the chimpanzees in the DNA. And you can see we have a brain that is way better than the chimpanzee. We can do that like it's like some sort of whereby we can take control of the chimpanzees. So imagine a person in your same industry having 1% of an IQ more than you. How will they be able to survive? They will be able to take you out of business. And I'm talking about the staff. I'm talking about the team, because you need a dedicated team so that you can be able to grow. Okay? If you get a dedicated team, then you as a farmer, you can be able to grow. Because I was thinking, if you want to raise like 300,000 chicken, will you always be at your poultry farm so that you can be able to manage those 300,000 chicken? No. You need to come up with the best structures so that you can be able to make that poultry farm sustainable on its own without you being there at the moment. And that is the bad thing with us African businesses, because you end up finding out that when a person who owns a business gets old and then passes away, that business usually goes away with them. Unlike our brothers from the Hindu community and even the Chinese community, whereby they pass the knowledge and they have created the systems and the proper staff that work for them so that they can be able to be sustainable in the long run, because they know how to put those things in place. And that is what I want every farmer to do, to be able to put proper structures and processes so that they can be able to make their farms become profitable and sustainable in the long run. Because if you have a bad team on your poultry farm, you won't be able to make any money out of this venture. You need to have a dedicated team, a team with the heart in the business. If you have a team with the heart in the business, then everything will go as you want it. And that is what I am talking about in this video. Because our chicken are about to lay, so we were about to debunk this one. You see, it's becoming, even it wants to eat me. So we have to continue doing the debunking of this remaining flock. But we have done almost like 80% of the debunking. So we want to keep on continuing with the debunking of this chicken. Most people usually say that you can't become a multi-millionaire doing farming. But I want to debunk that myth. Because in this world, if you just don't think outside the box and become open-minded, you may always think that all those things that people are saying to you are the true things. But if you think outside the box, then you can be able to analyze and critically make clear decisions of what are the best measures and the best things that you can do for you to become sustainable and profitable. I was thinking, how do those rich farmers like Liu Yongxing and Ling Yongzhao, those rich billionaires in the pig industry and all those farming industry in China, you can say that is due to the huge population in China, but also we have some very rich farmers here in Africa. Okay, so how do those people make these kind of farming to become sustainable in the long run? They have proper staff, because if you have the wrong staff on your poultry farm, because I've said the biggest problem in Africa is not unemployment. The biggest problem in Africa is you getting the right people to do the work for you. Okay, because a person can maybe is well versed in the study, in the field of study that he has done. Maybe he has gone to college and he has done veterinary medicine or all sort of those things. But when you give this person a job, for example, there was a time back we supplied some chicks to a farmer. The farmer was living abroad. He wasn't here in Kenya. And the farmer had purchased 2,000-day-old chicks from us. So this farmer had employed this veterinary medic. Can I say a doctor? Yes, veterinary doctor. He had employed on his farm. Do you know what the funny thing is? The person who was living abroad had given this veterinary doctor some money so that he can be able to manage that poultry farm properly. But the veterinary doctor had this very unscrupulous, very funny kind of behavior. Because what this guy was doing, if that guy sends him the money for feeds, the guy will end up go to the market, then he will only buy maize bran and some maize jam and some wheat pollard, then he would mix it and give them to the chicks. Remember, These are chicks. These are not mature chicken. You know, for the mature chicken, they can try and adapt. But for the chicks, they need some coccidio start, all those kinds of best proteins. You know, they need a high crude protein of around 18% in their diet. So when you are only giving them maize bran, which has almost a crude protein percentage of around 2%, or I don't think 1%, and you are doing that for a long time, so this will lead to this chicken developing some kind of, or some diseases that are caused by malnourishment. You see, so this guy ended up almost wiping the whole flock out because of the wrong feed that he was giving to those chicks. Because when the guy who was living abroad was sending the money to this guy so that he can be able to purchase the feeds for the chicks, the guy was going and getting these very cheap ingredients instead of getting the crude protein. He was not caring about that and giving that to the chicks, and the chicks ended up dying, like almost 1,500. So the guy remained with 100 after he has chased away the veterinary. So, and also when it came to antibiotics, you know, for 2,000 chicken, you can't go to the market and buy a 30-gram sachet of an antibiotic or multivitamin. You know, this guy was going to buy a 30-gram sachet of multivitamin. So for example, if it is a 30-gram sachet of multivitamin, you know that one only goes into 30 liters of water. And remember, this chicken that are of that around that number, the 2,000 chicken can drink up to 100 liters of water in a day, even to 200 liters. So you are only buying that one sachet and you want to give it for 5 days. So how are you helping this chicken? So that is what I'm saying. The team, you getting the team, the right team, you can get the qualified team. We usually call them the theory guys. You can get the best theory guys. They know how to talk, they have learned, they have the papers, but they don't have the dedication, they don't have the passion for you to make you profitable and make you make money out of that business that you're doing. And that is the biggest problem here in Africa. They are so short-sighted. They only want to reap here. They don't see the long-term goal. That is the biggest problem. If you don't have the right team. For example, like you see that guy who was living abroad. He was thinking that he was going to make a lot of millions out of that venture. But in real sense, that guy went and got a very huge loss. Okay? So you may be thinking that you will get a lot of money because you have just said that I have gotten this guy, he was referred to me by my relative, and I want to put him to work on my poultry farm. That is the biggest mistake. You have to do the proper assessment for the people that you are employing on your poultry farm, so that you can be able to also make something big out of this venture. Poultry farming is a very capital intensive business. So you really need to know if you have done the right things, you can also be able to reap something out of this venture. Choosing the right team. And I've said, the biggest problem in Africa is not unemployment. The biggest problem in Africa is you getting the right people to do for you the right job. Because people are out here, but only, I think it's sad, but I think very few people are so hardworking and dedicated for them to have a particular goal in life. So most of them are, can I say, jokers. So don't employ jokers, because if you employ jokers, then you will become the laughing stock. So it's your decision. Do you want to employ jokers, or do you want to employ the right people? Remember, in life, everybody makes decision. And in life, you choose to believe what you want to believe. You don't believe anything that you are forced to. People always believe what they choose to believe. So, if you want to become a rich poultry farmer, choose the best amongst the best. Remember, it's all about the goal. Capitalism world. Don't stay comfortable. If you stay comfortable, the wolves are coming for you. Remember that. Guys, if you haven't watched my video on how to do debunking on your poultry farm, make sure you click up here. Thank you guys. Cheers.